It's time for Dodger Baseball. Live from Dodger Stadium, Sportsnet LA presents the Dodgers as they take on the San Diego Padres. Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant Sunday to you, wherever you may be. Dodgers and Padres, final game of the three-game series. Dodgers having their own way with San Diego so far. They've won 6 out of 8, and for the Padres, they've hit the skids. They've lost 4 straight and 7 of the last 8. They send James Shields to the mound today with a record of 5-0. The 5-0 record is rather surprising when you realize that James Shields has allowed 14 home runs. And the Padres struggling offensively. Nevertheless, when James has pitched, they've scored 10 runs in one game, 8 runs in another game, and 6 in the third game. Doesn't quite sound like the Padre team that has been shut out 8 times this year. On the mound for the Dodgers, Carlos Frias with a record of 3-1, pitched very briefly and well against San Diego in relief. That 3-1 record, the loss, a very tough 2-1 defeat in San Francisco. For the Dodgers, at home, getting well as usual. They've won 2 in a row after losing 3 straight in San Francisco. Their record at home is 19-5. That's the best home record of all the leaders in all of the divisions in the Major League. However, the Dodgers are the worst road team of all the leaders. They are 7-11, and they're heading on the road starting next week. We'll get to the ball game and a whole lot more coming up right after this.
To improve on Major League Baseball's best home winning percentage. in the final game of a 3-game set, hoping to go for the sweep. Hello, everybody, and welcome inside Dodger Stadium. I'm Alana Rizzo. The Dodgers offense hasn't been that great as of late, but fortunately, they have gotten some good pitching to be able to boost the wins and get some runs on the board that way. As we talk about that, time now for the Game Changer, brought to you by T-Mobile. Thank goodness for the pitching staff. The Dodgers have gotten some strong starting pitching this week, as the offense has gone quiet, scoring just 5 runs since last Sunday, thanks to great starts by Mike Bolsinger last Sunday, Zach Greinke on Friday, and Bolsinger once again last night. The Dodgers guys have still won 3 of the last 6 games. Let's get some offense today.
Get ready to be dazzled during the Disneyland Resort Diamond Celebration, happening now with spectacular new entertainment and more. Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant Sunday afternoon to you, wherever you may be. Dodgers at home for the final game with the San Diego Padres. Dodgers having won 2 straight, and today it's Carlos Frias going up against James Shields. For the Padres, they're trying to get well in a hurry. They've lost 4 straight and 7 of the last 8. They've been shut out already 8 times this year, so it's a hungry ball club piloted by Bud Black, and they would like to leave here with a victory. Here's Black's lineup. Yangervis Solarte at first base, Will Venable in center, and Matt Kemp in right. Justin Ustin, kicked out of last night's game, is in left field. Derek Norris, the catcher. Corey Spangenberg at second base. Will Middlebrooks at third. Alexi Amarista at short. And on the mound, James Shields. On the mound for the Dodgers, Carlos Frias, and his first pitch to Solarte finds the outside corner, and we're underway with a count 0-1. Solarte, a switch hitter, doing his best hitting as a left-handed batter. He's hitting .300 left-handed. Hits one in the air down the left field line, a long way for Hernandez to go. He can't catch it. A one-hopper up against the box seats, and into second base with a lead-up double goes Yangervis Solarte. Solarte opened up last night's game with a base hit to center. This would be his second double in the series. So Solarte driving it down the left field line. Hernandez was playing over towards left center with a left-hand batter up. There was no way that Kike could caught up to that one. So a leadoff double, and the batter now will be Will Venable, the veteran left-hand hitter, batting .254. Venable has 1 RBI in the series, and the left-hand batter takes outside, ball 1. So Carlos Frias and Austin Barnes behind the plate. And that's an Oklahoma City battery, so they're well aware of each other's abilities. Venable, meanwhile, trying to at least advance Solarte. And the 1-0 pitch, a check swing and no swing at third, says Clint Fagan. 2 balls and no strikes, the count. So Venable with Matt Kemp and Justin Upton hitting back of him. Lovely day in the ballpark, 69 degrees. Cloud cover, so you're not going to get sunburned here. The 2-0 pitch on the way. Frias ready and delivers, and it is swung on and missed, and they count 2-1. A hard pitch that wound up in the dirt and picks up a strike on Venable. 2-1 the count. Will went to school at Princeton. He was a terrific all-around athlete, especially in basketball. His dad played in the big leagues for many years. Double figures. 2-1 to Will. He backs out. And Austin Barnes going out to talk to Carlos Frias. For Austin Barnes, the young catcher, he's making his major league debut. And as Barnes goes behind the plate, he has 6 family members here in the ballpark, and we understand a good 50 friends scattered around the ballpark. So more about Austin. That's his mom, Stephanie, and father. We're aware of those two for sure. 2-1 pitches low. 3-1 the count. Austin Barnes, just to conclude this part of the story, was born in Riverside, lives in Corona. Went to school at Arizona State. You might remember his uncle, Mike Gallego, a very good player. 3-1 pitch coming up. Frias ready and delivers, and it's a high strike around the letters. 3-2 the count. Frias coming into the ball game has walked 6 and struck out 19, so a hair better than 3-1. Left-handers, however, have hit 400 against him. Right-handers 190. 3-2 pitch is taken low, ball 4. So the left-hand bats of Solarte and Venable immediately get Frias in trouble. Take a look at the Dodgers defensively. With the leather, you have Gonzalez and Kendrick, Rollins and Guerrero at third, Hernandez, Peterson, and Ethier, and as we said, young Austin Barnes handling Carlos Frias. Barnes, by the way, will be 26 a couple of days after Christmas. So here's Matt Kemp, a hungry hitter. Kemp has distinguished himself in the series with his glove. He went 0 for 3 in the first game. He went 0 for 3 last night. So 0 for 6 and looking for a base hit. Matt takes off the plate. 1 ball and no strikes. So Frias struggling here in the first inning. 1 ball and no strikes to Kemp. Justin Upton on deck. Frias said, another look at the runners. The next pitch is down and away, so Frias struggling, can't find the strike zone, and he's behind 2-0. Matt Kemp checking in against Carlos Frias. 2 balls, no strikes the count. Kemp just 0 for 1 in the pass. Now the 2-0 pitch, and Matt takes ball 3. So Carlos Frias, who pitched so well his last game against the San Francisco Giants, he lost a heartbreaker That's the night Tim Hudson was brilliant, shut the Dodgers down. Frias allowed just 1 run in 6 innings and suffered the loss. In that game, he walked 2. Well, he's on the edge of walking 2 in the first inning today. So the 3-0 pitch to Matt Kemp. They might green light him if he likes it, but he takes a look at a low strike around the knees, and they count 3-1. Frias surrendered the double to left field to Solarte. Went 3-2 and walked Venable. Now he's 3-1, so he's already made 12 pitches. 3-1 pitch is taken low. Ball 4. Consistency, that of course is the art of being a major league pitcher. And to pitch a gem for 7 innings your last time and then suddenly give up a double and 2 walks, and Rick Honeycutt going out trying to help him. That's when a pitching coach is really valuable, if he can actually pick out something right away and see if he can get it corrected. So Honeycutt is holding court. Frias listening, as well he should. Rick, of course, a very successful veteran pitcher in his own right. So Honeycutt still talking, and probably the hottest hitter in the San Diego lineup, Justin Upton, coming up. Upton with 11 home runs, 29 runs batted in. He is the big man as far as the Padre offense is concerned. He has 3 grand slams. He hit one against Paco Rodriguez here 2 years ago. He also hit one against Colorado and Eric Stultz, and he also hit one against Randy Wolf against the Dodgers. So the Dodgers know Upton full well. Solarte, Venable, and Kemp all taking their leads. And the first pitch missing, ball 1. Neither team has done a lot of scoring, so one team certainly doesn't want to fall behind a lot to the other. Frias from a stretch, set at the belt, runners everywhere, standing room only. The 1-0 pitch, Upton takes low. 2-0 the count. It's maddening. You're standing on a mound 60 feet 6 inches away, trying to have your good stuff, but trying to get strikes. And he's been delinquent and could pay the price now. 2-0 to Upton. Infield back in double play depth. 2-0 pitch coming up, and Upton fouls it back. 2-1. Upton, who did a lot of first ball hitting in game 1, last night argued on a called 3rd strike. That was in the 8th inning, and he was kicked out by the umpire who's now at 3rd, Cliff Hagan. 2-1 the count. Carlos fighting, ready, right-handed delivers, big chopper, foul outside of 3rd, down the line, and the count 2 balls and 2 strikes. Justin Upton has been with 3 teams. Originally with the Atlanta Braves, then moved to Arizona. Now here he is with San Diego. With all of that, he's still only 27 years old. He'll be 28 in August. Upton, with just a few years in the big leagues, really has over 100 home runs. And after that foul ball, apparently heard or felt a little twang. It's not that the bat broke, but it might have cracked a little bit. Last night, Mike Bolsinger set the Dodgers and the Padres and the city of Los Angeles on its ear. What a game. Gave up a leadoff single, got the next hitter to hit into a double play, and went on to retire 23 in a row. Bolsinger, a remarkable game. Now the 2-2 pitch to Upton is swung on, a high fly ball to deep center. Back goes Peterson, away back at the wall, leaps up and can't make the catch. It's a grand slam home run for Justin Upton, the 4th of his career, and the Dodgers, struggling to get runs anyway, are down 4-0 in the first inning with nobody out.
Pitcher number 3, Derek Norris.
So Justin Upton hits his 12th home run. He has 33 runs batted in. Peterson gave it his best shot, going to the wall, then turned, leaped high in the air with the glove extended, but never had a chance. So the slam, it's 4-0 Padres in the first inning. And the batter, Derek Norris. Frias looks out to make sure Peterson is well and in position. So the double to Solarte, then a couple of walks, and then the grand slam. And the pitch now to Derek Norris, in for a strike. So the Dodgers, who have not been scoring runs at all, remember the heyday where they were averaging 5 and a little more every game. That's a distant memory. The pitch in for a strike to Norris, and the catcher now with the count, no balls, 2 strikes. Well, we mentioned at the opening remarks about the ball game, the Padres don't score except when James Shields pitches. The next pitch slapped down the right field line, foul, out of play. The Padres have been shut out 8 times. Since 2013, they've been shut out 35 times. And yet, when you look at James Shields, you realize in 3 of the games he started, Padres scored 10 runs, 8 runs, and 6 runs. A fly ball to right field. This one is playable. Ethier is there to make the catch, and that's the first out in the inning. So James Shields, who comes into the game, 5 wins, no losses, and an earned run average of 3.7. He has 4 runs in the bank already, and he hasn't even had to make a deposit. So with 1 away, here is Corey Spangenberg. Shields, with his team, averaging almost 7 runs a start, and Spangenberg bangs it down the left field line. Sliding stop by Hernandez, throw into second, gets away, and into second base easily goes Spangenberg on a double. So Corey Spangenberg struggling with the bat. At one stage he was 0 for 24. That was a nice defensive play worth looking at again. Kike Hernandez racing over on a ball. He goes into a slide to backhand it and hurries the throw, not in time. It also got off the glove of Kendrick. So Spangenberg gets second. That's the second double in the inning. And the batter now, Will Middlebrooks. Middlebrooks hitting .211, 4 home runs, 13 runs batted in. Frias delivers, fastball strike. So Carlos Frias came in with a great ERA. It was 2.5, but it's exploded in his face here in the first inning. Strike 1 pitch on the way, swung on and missed. Middlebrooks out in front of it. Yep, out in front of a fastball. He was guessing. Started the swing a little too early. 1 out, 4 in. Spangenberg at second base. The strike 2 pitch on the way. Frias delivers, ground ball hard to short, up with it Jimmy Rollins, makes the play to first, and on the ground ball, Spangenberg takes third. So 2 out, Spangenberg at third. As we always do with a runner at third, we check the pitcher. Frias does have 1 wild pitch. So the 8th man in the lineup, Alexi Amarista, the shortstop, checking in, hitting .186. Amarista has a look at a strike, and the count 0-1. So they have Solarte, a switch hitter, and they have Venable, Spangenberg, and Amarista, the left-hand batters. 4-0 Padres first inning. Next pitch foul back off to the left. 0-2 the count. Amarista, who has played a lot for the Padres in and out of the lineups. He's from Barcelona, Venezuela. Came up to the Padres back in 2012. Ground ball to Hendrick. How he picks it up and gets him. But of course the damage has long been done. For San Diego, 4 runs, 3 hits, and 1 left. And at the end of half an inning, Padres 4, Dodgers coming up. In shock, they're down 4-0 before the chairs were even warm. Here's Mattingly's lineup. Jock Peterson in center and Jimmy Rollins at short, Howie Kendrick at second, Adrian Gonzalez at first. Following that, you'd have Andre Ethier, Alex Guerrero at third, Kike Hernandez in left, Austin Barnes the catcher, Carlos Frias the pitcher. On the mound, James Shields. He is 6'4", 215-pounder. He comes into this season leading all major league pitchers in innings pitched, 1,785, going back to 2007. We mentioned earlier he gets a lot of run support, and they've gotten him almost 7 runs a start. They got him 4 in the first inning. So Big James working on Jock Peterson, and the first pitch a strike, and the count 0-1. Another note about James Shields, because Peterson has 12 home runs. Shields has allowed 14 home runs as Peterson fouls it off, but 12 of the 14 home runs are with the bases empty. And talking about bases empty, the last 2 for Peterson, remember he closed off the game with a home run in the bottom of the 8th inning, and then led off the game last night with a home run in the first inning. Here's the strike 2 pitch on the way, and Jock looks, it's in the dirt. 1-2 the count. Padres load up the right side. All alone at shortstop is the third baseman, Middlebrooks. The outfield, however, is shaded a tad towards the left, and the center fielder, Venable, shading a couple of steps toward the left center. Shields ready, and his 1-2 pitch on the way is swung on and missed, and down goes Peterson. So for Jock, he continues his pattern. He's going to do one of 3 things, it seems like. He's either going to hit a home run, he's going to strike out, or he's going to walk. Here are the Padres defensively: Solarte and Spanberg, Amarista and Middlebrooks, Upton, Venable and Kemp, Norris behind the plate, Shields on the mound. So Jimmy Rollins coming up. 1 out, first inning, 4-0 San Diego. Padres trying to snap a 4-game losing streak, and they've already lost 7 of the last 8. So 1 out, bottom of the first. If you joined us late, Solarte doubled, walks to Venable and Kemp loaded the bases, and Justin Upton hit a grand slam home run. Strike 1 pitch way inside, 1-1. The notes as Carlos Frias sits in the dugout, somewhat in shock. But you wonder about how Shields can give up 14 home runs and be 5-0. Rollins promptly slices one to left center. It's going to land in front of Venable for a base hit. So Jimmy Ronald gets a base hit, and the batter will be Howie Kendrick. Another note on Shields, the fact that a couple of years ago, James Shields picked off 13. He has picked off 31 runners in his career. So you have a little battle within the WAR. You have a pitcher with a great pickoff move. You have a most experienced base runner in Jimmy Rollins, and a veteran hitter, Howie Kendrick, at the plate. Kendrick, by the way, is hitting .517 against Shields. James straightens up, looks over at Rollins, works Kendrick, gets a strike, and the count 0-1. Shields 6'4". Kendrick, meanwhile, checking with Bundy. Kendrick has 15 hits, 4 doubles, 2 triples, and a home run against James Shields, so they know each other very well. In the days when Shields was pitching for the Rays and the Royals, Howie was with the Angels. Ground ball to third, Middlebrooks down to Spangenberg, back to first, double play, and that's that. So the Dodgers, no runs, 1 hit, nobody left, and at the end of an inning, Padres 4, Dodgers nothing. At least in the first inning, he was able to get the number 3 hitter in the lineup, Kendrick, to hit into a double play. The number 3 hitters during the year are hitting .440 against him. Meanwhile, Shields backs off, takes a strike, and the count 0-1. Shields has 3 hits, including a double. Struck out a little less than half the time. Takes off the plate, 1 ball and 1 strike. 4-0 Padres, thanks to the grand slam home run by Justin Upton. 1-1 pitch on the way. Shields, big swing and a miss. 1-2 the count. Shields, an American League pitcher, spent most of his time with the Devil Rays and the last 2 years with the Royals. The 1-2 pitch, he takes off the plate, and the count 2-2. James Shields, 6'4", 215, born in Newhall and still lives there. Graduate of Newhall High School. Now the 2-2 pitch, swung on, lined into right field, base hit. So for Carlos Frias, it's one of those games where you get the feeling he is not long for the game, but we'll see.
Number 26, Solarte.
So Shields, line drive single to right. 4 hits already for the Padres. And now Solarte, who started it all with the double to left field, checking in. Jan Hervis hitting .279, 2 home runs, 22 runs batted in. Switch hitter, really trouble as a left-handed batter. He swings, fouls it away, 0-1. Solarte hitting right-handed is just 160, but hitting a hair over 300. Both of his home runs hit left-handed. No balls and 1 strike. Frias looks over his shoulder at Shields, comes back to Solarte. Fly ball to center, pretty deep, but Peterson has it all the way, makes the catch, and Shields holding at first base. Frias coming into this game had struck out 19, so the first tip-off on him, it's the second time around in the lineup, and he has not struck out anybody. So here is Will Venable. Venable, the left-hand hitting center fielder, batting .254. Frias at the belt, comes to the plate, works it inside, ball 1. However, in thought, that brilliant game that he pitched against the Giants, he went 6 innings and was not overpowering at all. Just struck out 3. The next pitch missing, and he's in a hole. 2 balls and no strikes. By the way, James Shields with that base hit, despite the fact he has spent the majority of time in the American League, where he doesn't get much of a chance to swing the bat. He's hitting .206 now in his career. There's a ground ball into right field, base hit. James Shields stops at second, and Frias again in more hot water. 1 out, first and second, and Matt Kemp coming up. So the San Diego Padres, a ball club that's been very quiet offensively, trying to make some noise. I was looking for their list of most runs, etc. Hard to find in checking the note sheet. Come up with it in a minute. Matt Kemp walked in the first inning. So Kemp waiting with 2 on, 1 out. Frias ready and delivers, and the first pitch is high, ball 1. Most runs in a game for the Padres, 14, and they've done that twice. They had a game early in April, they had 20 hits. Here's the 1-0 pitch on the way. Kemp bangs it to center. Peterson has to charge. He plays it on the second hop, so the bases are loaded. And Frias in a lot of trouble, and not a ball thrown in the Dodger bullpen. Not yet.
10, Justin Upton.
So Justin Upton, the benefit of those who missed it, he got what looked like a slider up out over the plate, and he hit it just over the center field wall for his grand slam. And don't you know, his second time up, he has another opportunity. Justin Upton with 12 home runs. Jock Peterson, Todd Frazier, Giancarlo Stanton, they've all had 12. Bryce Harper leads with 16. Upton takes high, ball 1, 1-0. So Upton already with a slam, poised to hit another unless Frias does a great turnaround. No one throwing, so it's the old story. It looks like Frias is going to have to take one for the club. The 1-0 pitch on the way, and that's way off the plate, ball 2. So for Frias, if he could, he'd say, wait a minute, let's back off and start this game all over again. But that's not to be. A double, 2 walks, and a grand slam in the first inning. He also gave up an extra double. Now he's given up 3 singles to load up the second, and only 1 out. Carlos checking, Upton waiting. Now the right-hander's 2-0 pitch on the way is fouled back. So James Shields, who began it with a base hit to right. Venable, single to right. He's at second. Kemp, single to right. Kemp's ball went to center. So the bases loaded, 1 out, 4-0 San Diego, and they're trying to run away and hide with the game right now. Upton waiting, and the pitch is swung on, ground ball by the diving Guerrero and down the line. Shields will score. Venable will score. Kemp stops at third on a double by Upton, who now has 6 runs batted in, and it's 6-0 Padres. Guerrero diving at the ground ball, but never had a chance. So second and third with 1 out. Upton having one of those games. Boy, 6 ribbies. Frias isn't due to bat for a while, and the Dodgers are not going to waste somebody this early in what looks like a runaway horse race. Honeycutt on the phone, might not get an answer. 6 runs, 7 hits, no errors for San Diego. Honeycutt making his second visit to the mound in 2 innings. Every pitcher has gone through it who has ever played the game. There are days where you just don't have a thing. J.P. Howell now will finally answer the call. For Justin Upton, there are days as a hitter when it doesn't work out. But today, Upton's day, and for Carlos Frias, it looks like a very short afternoon. 6-0 Padres, second inning. The Giants split their day-night affair yesterday, so the Dodgers began picking up a half a game and began leading the Giants by 2. Well, the Giants are in Denver, and they're having yet another problem. It is the weather. The weather in Denver, for that matter, the weather in the heart of the land of the country has really been bad. Saw a note, Oklahoma City in the month of May has received just a hair under 15 inches of rain in 1 month. There's a chopper up the middle. The drawn-in infield can't handle it. 1 run scores. Here comes the second run to score. How do you like 8-0 in favor of San Diego? So Norris, ground ball up the middle, and Carlos Frias really had his eggs scrambled here today. So Kemp and Upton come home, and for Norris a base hit and 2 runs batted in. So there are those who say it's never over till it's over. We are looking for the fat lady to sing. We haven't heard, but it is 8-0 Padres. 4 runs in each of the first 2 innings, and the batter is Corey Spangenberg, and he hits a 1-hopper to Kendrick. Quick flip to Rollins, throw to first. Mercifully, the double play to win the inning. The Frias, who wears 7-7, walks off a scoreboard that shows 4-4. And at the end of an inning and a half, 8-0 Padres. sight, 8-0 at the end of an inning and a half at the expense of young Carlos Frias. Now the Dodgers will have Gonzalez, Ethier, and Guerrero. J.P. Howell made a couple of throws and then stopped. So it does look like Frias will have to take one for the team and hang in there. No sense burning up the bullpen with Atlanta on the horizon. 1 ball, no, a strike. 0-1 the count to Adrian Gonzalez. Adrian hitting .347. James Shields delivers, and the pitch hit in the air. The shallow left, a quartet coming over, and it's the left fielder Upton for the catch. So Spangenberg, Amarista, Venable, and Upton were all converging, and it's Upton making the catch. 1 out. So Shields now working on Andre Ethier. In the past, Ethier against Shields 0 for 3. The Atlanta Braves will be here starting tomorrow night, and the Dodgers will certainly try to be on their best behavior, trying to recover from what looks like an old-fashioned licking today. Tomorrow night, Brett Anderson. The next night, Clayton Kershaw. And the next night, Zach Greinke. Ethier takes ball 1. The Dodgers against Atlanta last year won 6 out of 7, and all 3 of the games played here. Frias briefly consoled by Rick Honeycutt, and the next pitch skied down the left field line, foul, and out of play. 1-1 the count to Andre Ethier. James Shields, the average is almost 7 runs a game when he starts, has been given 8 today. Shields checking. Right-hander's 1-1 pitch, and Andre swings and doesn't get it. Shields is one of those fellas who pitches exceptionally well when there's somebody on base. When the bases are empty, the opposition hits .301 against him. 1-2 pitch, check swing, Ethier fooled, down he goes. Second strikeout for Shields, and the batter will be Alex Guerrero. With runners on base, all of a sudden, the opposition is hitting .174. With runners in scoring position, the opposition is hitting .120. And with runners in scoring position and 2 out, the opposition is hitting less than 100. That is James Shields. Two down, second inning, 8-0 Padres. Alex Guerrero swings, lifts a fly ball to right field pretty deep. Kemp going back to his left and makes the catch for the out. And the Dodgers go quickly in the second inning. And at the end of 2, it remains Padres 8, Dodgers nothing. We go to the third inning, 8-0 San Diego. The first pitch to Will Middlebrooks in for a strike, and the count 0-1. Middlebrooks grounded to short in the first inning. He'll be followed by Alexi Amarista and then James Shields. Strike one pitch on the way, and that swung on and hammered to left. Going back for it is Hernandez, watching it go into the pavilion. It is 9-0. The Dodgers could have gone to the beach today, and if they didn't show up, that would have been the final score. However, it's not only 9-0, it's only the third inning. And for Frias, it's been a BP game. Everything he serves up there is being hammered. So Middlebrooks hits one out. That would be his 5th home run. 2 home runs allowed so far by Carlos Frias. And the batter now, Alexi Amarista, who takes high ball 1-0. On deck is James Shields, and they said that they score a lot of runs for him. I should say so. The 1-0 pitch fouled away. The Padres not a high-scoring team at all, but they average almost 7 runs a game for James Shields. And right now, they have 9 in 2 innings plus. For Frias, he's a professional who knows there are days like this. Here's the 1-1 pitch, swung on, little pop fly into shallow left center, coming over to pick it off, Kike Hernandez, and we have one down. Say, friends, don't forget, be one of the first 40,000 fans in attendance June 4th. Receive a Kenley Jansen bobblehead presented by State Farm. For more information, go to Dodgers.com/promotions. A little while ago, in giving you, I guess you'd call it kind of a character sketch on James Shields, in checking our notes, it said he graduated of Newhall High School. However, several people nicely twittered a correction. He graduated from Hart High School in Santa Clarita. The strike one pitch on the way. Shields' big swing, chopper to third, waiting for the hop as Guerrero throws over to first in time. 2 out in the third. 9-0 Dodgers on the end of it. The Padres 9 runs, 9 hits. The Dodgers a murmur of protest. Jimmy Rollins singled in the first inning, and Kendrick came right back and hit into a double play. Dodgers making outs in a hurry. Shields made 9 pitches in the first inning, 7 pitches in the second. And the first pitch missing, 1 ball, no strikes to Yangervis Solarte, who opened up the game with the double to left. Fly to center, 1 for 2. Next pitch missing, 2-0 the count. Justin Upton is the one-man show right now with the grand slam home run and the double. The next pitch in for a strike. Upton has 6 RBIs. That's the most by a Dodger opponent at Dodger Stadium since Hunter Pence drove in 7 back in September of 2013. Quick ground ball out at first. Frias handling the toss from Gonzalez. So just 1 run, 1 hit, the home run. And at the end of 2.5 innings, 9-0 San Diego. 9-0. The Dodgers will have Hernandez, followed by Austin Barnes, and then Carlos Frias. Hernandez hitting .281. He is just starting to show his all-around ability. He can play everywhere. He's had 2 starts in center field. This would be the 4th game in left field. He's had a start in right field. He has played shortstop, and he has also started at second base. Kike Hernandez. Strike 1 pitch is a chopper slowly to third. Middlebrooks charging, bare hands, throws, and got him. So a nice play by Middlebrooks. Hernandez out on a chopper to third. 1 down, and now a big moment. Perhaps no one else in the ballpark feels it except Austin Barnes, along with his mom and dad, 5 members of the family, and about 50 friends, making his major league debut today and his first at-bat in the big leagues. So you can see his mom applauding, wearing sunglasses, dad hunched forward. Austin is 5'10", 190, lives in Corona. Mom Stephanie and a large group rooting for him in his major league debut. Shields ready and delivers, and the first pitch a high strike, 0-1. For Barnes, signed originally by the Marlins, coming out of Arizona State, stayed in their organization until this year when he moved over to the Dodgers and was at Oklahoma City. He takes high, 1 ball, 1 strike. He's put up some very big numbers in the minors: 288, 318, 339, 296, 317, and 290. What that means, however, they're talking big leagues now. He swings, doesn't get it, and they count 1-2. He has baseball genes. His uncle, Mike Gallego, played for 13 years and is now the third base coach for Oakland. The 1-2 pitch on the way to Austin Barnes, ground foul outside of third. One good thing, there's no pressure on him. I mean, if you have to make your big league debut, this is ideal. His team is down 9-0. There's nobody on base. All he has to do is come up and try to make contact. And of course, you know, there are a couple of prayers upstairs coming from Mom. All right, Barnes back up to the plate. Dodgers traded D. Gordon and Dan Harron, and Barnes came up with Hatcher, Hernandez. He takes on the outside corner, strike 3 call. So Austin, somewhat with a smile on his face, didn't want to argue with the plate umpire,
Pitcher,
Alan
number
Porter.
77, Carlos Frias.
So strikeout number 3 for James Shields. And the batter, Carlos Frias. Nine to nothing San Diego. That's right. We're only in the 3rd inning. James Shields delivers. Frias takes way off the plate, ball 1, 1-0. Justin Upton having a big day. He'll be batting 3rd in the 4th inning. Little ground ball to the right side. Up with it there, Spangenberg, and that'll do it. So the Dodgers go very quietly. That means 7 in a row retired since the base hit. And James walks off along with his teammates. Padres 9, Dodgers nothing. The Dodge Challenger. With an EPA estimated 30 highway MPG, this car was made for driving in California. Visit Dodge.com today. Fourth inning, 9-0 San Diego. It's interesting what the Dodgers are doing offensively since they have been blown out of the water. James Shields made 9 pitches in the first inning, 7 pitches in the second inning, and 9 pitches in the third inning. So Frias off the plate with his first pitch to Will Venable, 1 ball and no strikes. Hitting third in the inning, Justin Upton, and he's already had a huge day. Strike 1 pitch coming up. And line to right field. Ethier on the run, backhands it. So Venable hits the ball on the screws, but lines out to right. And Matt Kemp walked in the first inning and singled in the second. Kemp single loaded the bases, and Upton then doubled in 2. In the first inning, Upton had the grand slam. So here's Matt. Picked up his first hit in the series there in the second inning. Ball 1. The Braves are coming. They'll be here tomorrow night. Dodger pitching for the series: Anderson, Kershaw, and Greinke. Fastball whacked into left center. Though it's open season on Carlos Frias. That's a base hit. And that'll bring up Upton.
Number 10, Justin Upton.
9 runs and 10 hits. Take another look at Upton's grand slam. You might be wondering about most RBIs in a game in Padre history. After all, with a grand slam and a double, Upton has 6 RBIs right now. Nate Colbert back in '72 and Ken Caminiti in '95. They each had 8 RBIs in a game. Upton, a slow roller, charging it as Guerrero makes the play to first. Kemp advances to second. And talking about Colbert's 8 RBIs, that was part of a doubleheader where Nate hit 5 home runs, and he had 13 runs batted in the doubleheader that day. So far, just to continue the thought, the most RBIs in a game this year in the major leagues, Yasmani Grandal has 8. Moss, Crawford, Rizzo, well, Moss with 7, and then Brandon Crawford, Anthony Rizzo, Jonas Cespedes, they have 6, and Upton now 6. Norris, a ground ball to short. Kemp has to avoid the chopper, the throw to first in time, and that'll do it. No runs, a hit, a man left. And at the end of 3.5 innings, it remained 9-0 in favor of the Padres. You might wonder about Jock Peterson. Off to a great start. He has 12 home runs. And the most home runs in the first 60 career games with the Dodgers. You go way back to Del Bisoneto at 13. Remember the catcher David Ross, he had 13. And here's Peterson, Frank Howard, and Don Demeter, all with 12. So Jock struck out in the first inning. For Peterson, looking to last night's game where he struck out 3 times. So he has struck out his last 4 at-bats, hitting .241. So he pays the price for those home runs. He has struck out 50 times. He has walked 30, and he has the 12 home runs. By the way, the Braves on their way here, they just beat the Brewers 2-1. And the first pitch inside, ball 1. One ball and no strikes to Jock Peterson. 1-1. Braves here tomorrow night. The Dodgers beat them 6 out of 7 last year, and all 3 of the games played here. 1-1. Ball 2. For the Padres, they'll still be on the road, but they're inching closer to home. They finish here, and the next stop, Anaheim. They have 3 with the Angels, and then they go home to open up against Pittsburgh. 2-2 the count to Jock Peterson. Infield loaded on the right side. Dodgers with 1 hit through 3 innings. Single by Jimmy Rollins. Ball 3. The best laid plans of mice and men. Here you have the concluding game on a very important weekend. Large crowd, everybody in fine fettle, and the game is broken wide open in the first 2 innings. Three and 2. And ball 4 just off the plate. So after retiring 7 in a row, Shields gives up a walk, and Jimmy Rollins is singled in the first inning coming up. What was it the late Joan Rivers would say? Can we talk? Well, I'm just thinking in this 9-0 game, if you don't mind, we can talk a little bit about last night. It was such a remarkable game, and since this is a very unremarkable game, we'll watch the game and talk about something else. Line drive for the out. Holding at first is Peterson. 1 away. It had been nearly 49 years since a team sent just 27 batters to the plate, with its only base runner coming on a hit by its leadoff man in the first inning. But having him wiped out last night on a double play in 1966, the leadoff hitter was caught stealing. That's when you go back to Shea Stadium, July 1. Ron Hunt, who at one time played for the Dodgers, he was the Mets' second baseman, and he led off with a single against the Pirates' Woody Fryman. That's a strike. Ron Hunt was caught stealing, and Woody Fryman then set down the last 26 Mets. They won that game, by the way, 12-0. So Fryman went all the way. Bolsinger was lifted at the end of 8. Kenley Jansen closed up. Magnificent night for a very nice guy, Mike Bolsinger. 9-0 San Diego, bottom of the 4th. A lot of runs for the Padres. It was quite a few years ago. I'm trying to remember, 1952, I think we said. The Dodgers were at home at Ebbets Field against Cincinnati. A chopper for a force play laid at first. So Kendrick hits into the force. The inning is still alive, and the batter will be Adrian Gonzalez. Anyway, 1952, the crowd filed into Ebbets Field. It was a night game. Chris Van Kuyk, big left-hander with a crew cut. I know he was the pitcher for the Dodgers that night. And in the bottom of the first inning, the Dodgers scored 15 runs. That's right, 15. Pee Wee Reese in the first inning was on base 3 times. Can you imagine? Ground ball backhanded at third by Middlebrooks, playing on the left side. That'll be that as he throws out Gonzalez. No runs, no hits, a man left, and at the end of 4, it's 9-0 San Diego. Friends, receive your very own stylish Dodger coaster set presented by Arco. The first 40,000 fans in attendance get theirs when the Dodgers face the Braves Wednesday at 7:10. For more information, visit Dodgers.com promotions. Spangenberg, Middlebrooks, and Amarista against the right-hander Carlos Frias. The Dodgers now move around in the bullpen. Paco Rodriguez will get up. The 1-0 pitch, base hit into right field. That's 11 hits for San Diego.
Number 11.
And the batter will be
Middlebrooks,
who grounded to short and homered. Padres 4 in the first, 4 in the second, 1 in the third. Now they're after Frias again with Amarista on deck. And a strike. Yeah, just going back for the moment to that game, first inning, Dodgers score 15 runs against the Cincinnati Reds. We mentioned Pee Wee Reese was on base 3 times in the first inning. And what was really amazing, Billy Cox was the third baseman for the Dodgers, terrific player. And Billy led off and made out in the first inning. And the next 19 batters in a row reach base. Here's the strike 2 pitch on the way. Line drive, left field, another base hit. Hernandez over to get it. On his way to third is Spangenberg, and he's safely in there as the throw goes all the way to the plate. So Middlebrooks singles to left. Spangenberg goes to third, and Frias in a mess again. Yeah, one of the 3 outs in the first inning of that runaway first inning, Andy Pafko, who was the left fielder for the Dodgers at the time, he was out stealing third. I don't remember, but just in reading and remembering that, say, what kind of an obscenity is that? In a game where you score 15 runs in the first inning and one of your runners is out trying to steal third. That's the biggest explosion in one inning. But you know, on this day, the next year, the Dodgers scored 12 in the 8th inning of the game against the Phillies. Well, I'm not saying it can happen today. Mattingly's on his way out to the mound. But there have been some wild explosions in baseball. So Mattingly taking his time going to the mound. Paco Rodriguez throwing in the pen. I mean, what can you say to the pitcher except good luck next time? Carlos has allowed 9 runs, 12 hits. He's leaving with runners at first and third, his responsibility. Mattingly in no hurry to make a change. He's still talking to Frias. Is he saying to him, look, Carlos, you got to give us another inning. Here comes the plate umpire out to speed things along. So Mattingly, if nothing else, consuming time to get Paco ready. And now it's the plate umpire gesturing to the bullpen. And Carlos Frias, one discouraged young right-hander, walking off the field, having been hammered for at least 9 runs, and we'll be back. Bring you an inside look at the best moments of the week on and off the field. Don't miss Dodger Clubhouse. That'll be tomorrow at 9 on Sportsnet LA. Dodgers make a double switch, trying to make the most out of what has been a disaster. Scott Van Slyke enters the game along with Paco Rodriguez. That means Paco goes in Adrian Gonzalez's spot, and Van Slyke takes over at first base, batting 9th. So the Padres trying to do a couple of things. They're trying to snap a 4-game losing streak, trying to get out from under having lost 7 out of 8. Also trying to snap a Dodger 2-game winning streak. And putting all that together, the Padres trying to win their 3rd of 9 games with the Dodgers. Amarista grounded to second, flied to left. Amarista, considering the fact Shields has a base hit, is the only one without a hit in the Padre lineup. And ball 1. So Frias charged with 9 runs and 12 hits. But Spangenberg and Middlebrooks are also his responsibility, so it's not over yet for him. 1-0. Ball 2. Of course, as your parents might say, when you've had a very disappointing time as a child, it's all right. It's all part of the growing up process. That's about the best you can say to Frias. 2-0. Check. Did he? Yep, he did, says Fagan. Every time I say Fagan, I think of Oliver. 2 balls and 1 strike. Breaking ball lifted to slightly right center. Ethier there tagging up at third is Spangenberg. He will score to make it 10-0. Though that's 10 runs charged to Frias. That's another disaster because ERAs, that's bread and butter for a pitcher. Frias came in with an earned run average of 2.5. And now he's allowed 10 runs in 4 innings. James Shields, single to right, grounded out, 1 for 2. Rodriguez working on Shields. Check swing, ball 1. Yangervis Solarte on deck. He started it all with a double. He's 1 for 3. And ball 2. In the Dodger bullpen, Yimi Garcia begins to loosen up. When the Dodgers come up in the bottom of the 5th, the Ethier, Guerrero, Hernandez, then Barnes the catcher, and remember Van Slyke bats 9th. 3-0 the count to James Shields. Boy, the time has gone by. Do you remember James Shields pitching opening day? Off speed, breaking ball for a strike. 3-1. Shields opening day allowed the Dodgers 2 runs. Dodgers won that game 6-3. High fly ball to left field. Hernandez going way back to the track, right by the scoreboard for the out. So Shields almost hits it out. It's a long out instead. 2 down, and the batter will be Yangervis Solarte.
Yangervis Solarte.
Solarte double, fly to center, grounded out, 1 for 3. Solarte came to the Padres on the deal that sent Chase Headley to the Yankees. There's the force play. So we can finally close the book on Carlos Frias. It is not a bestseller, but he's charged with 10 runs and 12 hits in 4 innings. Wow. 10-0 Padres. Dodger Baseball on Sportsnet LA is brought to you by your Southern California Toyota dealers. Save big on any 2015 Camry now at the Toyota Time Sales Event. Bottom of the fifth inning, 10-0 San Diego, and it'll be Ethier, Guerrero, and Hernandez. The James Field, he needs a couple of outs to make it an official start, and he can qualify for a big victory. He came in 5-0, so he needs 3 more outs to be 6-0. Strike to Ethier. If you don't mind just talking about that big game the Dodgers had way back when, 15 runs in the first inning. They won the game 19-1, and Brian Hagan fills in a lot of the gaps. 0-2. The final score of that game was 19-1. The Dodgers had 17 hits. The batter with the most hits in that game, believe it or not, Chris Van Kuyk, the pitcher for the Dodgers, had 4 hits. That'll do it for Ethier. You know who started that game? At the time, one of the more feared pitchers in baseball, Ewell Blackwell. Another left-hander who was 15 years old when he broke into the major leagues, Joe Nuxhall. Well, by the time he pitched in that game, he was 23. He pitched 3 shutout innings, 8 years after he made his debut. So here's Guerrero, fouled away, 0-1. I don't know, when you get a game like 10-0 in the fifth inning, if you're sitting next to somebody in the stand, you might begin, I'd like to tell you about my first day in camp in school or something. 0-1. 1-1. Guerrero flied to right. Kike Hernandez waiting on deck. And a drive to left, hooking foul back into the crowd. Another big crowd, and we certainly would expect one tomorrow, Memorial Day. 5:10 with Atlanta. Last night it was Adrian Gonzalez bobblehead night, and it was sold out, 53,479, the 4th sellout this year. 1-2. Another hard hit ball in the seats, foul. Still 1-2. Padres scored 4 in the first, came right back with 4 more, added a run in the third, and for good measure, another in the fifth. The big blow, I guess you could call the grand slam by Upton. Got them 4 in a hurry. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Shields has not had to work hard at all. Fastball fouled away. So outside of the foul balls, he had 9 pitches in the first inning. He had 7 pitches in the second inning. He had 9 pitches in the third inning and 11 pitches in the fourth. And right now, he's made 5 with 1 out. 2-2. And Guerrero chasing one and strikes out. By the way, I don't know where Carlos Frias is right now. I don't know, is he still in our dugout? Or did he shake hands and go to the clubhouse? Okay, Carlos, if you're in the clubhouse, we just want to tell you something. There was a pitcher with the Brooklyn Dodgers named Burley Grimes, Grimes. He allowed 10 runs in a game. Are you ready? He allowed 10 runs in a game 9 times. And young Carlos, remember this, Burley Grimes is in the Hall of Fame. I don't know how well Carlos speaks English, but if there is someone down there, if he didn't get it, we ought to pass that along to him. Carlos, we all need encouragement, especially on a day like today. 2 out, 5th inning, 10-0 Dodgers. TK up there. 1-1. Two out, 5th inning, 10-0 in favor of the Padres. Dodgers taking a licking, and there's not a darn thing they can do about it. Fastball strike. Of course, Frias is also known, and I was just thinking about that, in his second major league start. He pitched against the Colorado Rockies, and he became the first pitcher in the modern era to yield 10 hits, logging fewer than 3 outs. He left in the first inning, and he was charged with 8 runs. But he has come back and came into this game recognized as a young pitcher with a great deal of ability and a record of 3-1. Hernandez waiting, 3 balls, 2 strikes. Fastball, a 1-hopper to Middlebrooks. And that will be that. So nothing across for the Dodgers in the 5th inning, and at the end of 5, it is 10-0 San Diego. Last night's game was played in a sparkling 2 hours and 11 minutes, which brought back a game the Dodgers played against the New York Mets right here at Dodger Stadium. The game went 19 innings. The Mets won the game 7-3, and when the game ended, it was 1:45 in the morning. That was a rather excruciating game for everybody involved, but most of them are a lot better than that. Although this one's debatable, isn't it? Let's go back to this one. Yimi Garcia comes in now. He will be the 3rd Dodger pitcher. So it could be, in trying to save arms, the Dodgers might just go 1 inning at a time. Frias went 4. Then Paco Rodriguez came in and made 10 pitches. Shields, meanwhile, sailing along, has only made 52 pitches. Barely more than 10 pitches an inning. And a strike, 0-1. Will Venable walked, single to right, scored a run, and lined out to right. Derek Norris has a base hit. He and Amarista have failed to score. Amarista is the only one without a hit, but he does have a run batted in. 1-2. Although it's not much fun for the fans, as a player, I think you lose like 10-0, and you just go about your work. There isn't anything you can do. You forget about it. You go have dinner and get him tomorrow type attitude. Except for the pitcher. There are only two people who ever win and lose a game: the pitcher and the manager. All the others, they're playing 9 innings, and whatever happens, happens. The pitcher's record and his earned run average is at stake. And, of course, the W's and the L's. They belong to the manager. One ball and 2 strikes. Little ground ball. Who's going to get it? Rollins has to come back to get it. And you can't do that on a ball hit by Venable. Venable, hitting left-handed, runs very well. As soon as Rollins had to go back, you knew there wasn't much of a chance. So Venable gets an infield single. And now Matt Kemp. There's Jimmy going back. Quick recovery, good strong arm, but no way to get a left-hand batter who runs well. That's only 13 hits for the Padres with nobody out in the 6th inning. Here's Matt Kemp. Matt walked in the 1st inning, single to center in the 2nd, single to center in the 4th. So hitless in the first 2 games, but he's a boxcar on the Runaway Express. Slider hit to center field. Peterson moving over to right center. One out in the Dodger bullpen to pick up on the theory of 1 inning for each reliever. Adam Liebertor gets up and begins to warm up. Here's the man, Justin Upton. Grand slam home run in the 1st inning. Doubled in 2 in the 2nd. Grounded out last time up. So with 6 runs batted in, and he has scored twice. Strike. 0-1. So Upton kicked out by the 3rd base umpire, Clint Fagan, last night. He was an angry young pup when they sent him back to the clubhouse, but all is well today. 0-2. Upton has 12 home runs. Now he has 33. I'll make it 6 and 35 runs batted in. So he goes down against Emmy. That, by the way, with all the free swinging for the Padres, that's the first Padre to strike out.
Derek Norris.
Derek Norris flied to right, single to center, grounded to short. Base hit in the 2nd inning, drove in 2 runs. And a strike. Upton has 6 RBIs. Norris picked up 2. Middlebrooks hit a home run to get 1. And Amarista had the scoring fly ball for the other. Put it all together, 10-0 San Diego. Foul back. Yeah, you lose a game 10 whatever, 12 whatever. Pretty easy to forget, as we said, except for the pitcher and the manager. You lose 3-2 in the bottom of the 9th. That's a killer. Oh, and 2. on the hands. Leaving first is Van Slyke. Gets back, but it's too late. So Scott Van Slyke, who just got into the game to play first base, makes the one big problem every first baseman has, and he went face to face with it. Do I go right to the bag on that little ground ball, or do I go after it? And Scotty got caught. By the time he got back, Kendrick couldn't make a play in time. It happens. It happens to the best first baseman. It's probably the hardest single play a first baseman has to make. When do I and when don't I? So it's an infield single for Norris. That'll be lost in the shuffle. That's the 14th hit. I don't think at the end of this game anybody's going to say to Scott Van Slyke, you know, remember that play you made where you... I don't think so. 1-1. It's time for Annie to sing Tomorrow, Tomorrow. The sun will come up tomorrow. And tomorrow, Brent Anderson will face William Perez of Atlanta. In fact, his first name is not William. It's Williams with an S. Dodgers have Anderson, followed by Kershaw, followed by Zanke, followed by a trip to St. Louis. 2-2. Another good fastball, and that's that. So Garcia comes in, strikes out 2, gives up 2 hits, and we're going to the bottom of the 6th. 10-0 San Diego. Ten to nothing in favor of San Diego. Bottom of the 5th inning, we mentioned earlier. Coming up in the 6th inning is Austin Barnes making his major league debut. His first at bat was back in the 3rd inning, and he was called out on strikes. Now, we have the honor of mentioning his mom's name is Stephanie. She has that powder blue sweater. His dad is Dennis. His brothers are Dylan and Griffin. His sister is Sahara. And his girlfriend is Nikki. So the Austin Barnes family is here. We do not have the names of the other 50 friends who are here in the ballpark. Fly ball to right field. Matt Kemp fighting the sun. 1 out. So Austin Barnes goes the other way. 1 down. Of course, another story. Not only have the Dodgers been hammered from pillar to post, 10 runs, 14 hits. They only have 1 hit, and that was back in the 1st inning. Rollins singled with one out, and Kendrick hit into a double play. They have a walk in the fourth, and that's been with the quotes around it, the attack. In the bullpen, J.P. Howell gets up, so it'll be his turn soon. And ball one, this got bench line. Frias, Rodriguez, Garcia. Howell actually was up in the first inning and then stopped throwing. Ball two. Shields in a very awkward follow through, and that's what happens when you have a few pitchers come in. The landing area gets chewed up. He almost fell down. Time called by the plate umpire. We immediately, there it is. We were wondering where's the beach ball, and it was recovered in the left field corner. Our beach ball boy has now removed it. 2-0. And a high fly ball to left field. Upton shy of the track. 2 down.
Number 31, Jock Peterson.
Jock Peterson has struck out and walked. Just looking at James Shields, what he has done. He gave up a base hit and retired 7 in a row. Gave up a walk and has now retired 8 in a row. And here's Peterson. Big breaking ball low, ball 1, 1-0. James Shields, besides being a very good pitcher and a big man, is also a man with a big heart. When he was at Tampa Bay, he and his wife Ryan started the Big Game James Club. They would invite foster children to games at Tropicana Field, and they've continued the initiative that he started ever since he moved on to Kansas City. In fact, Shields said it was very gratifying to hear that several foster children in the program were adopted during his time with the Rays. He also has a good sense of humor. 2-2. It was during spring training, and Shields was going to take charge of parking. He was going to be the chief parking attendant. And he put on a yellow fluorescent vest, a blue cap, and a big red flag, and took charge at the gate of the Royals parking lot back in March. Peterson strikes out, so he struck out 5 of his last at-bats. And Big James walks off at the end of 6 with an even bigger lead, 10-0. More of them to come. A reminder, receive your very own Tommy Lasorda Garden Gnome presented by Chef Marito Seasonings. Get yours tomorrow at 5:10. Dodgers face the Braves. Go to Dodgers.com/promotions for more information. So the Dodgers do what we thought they would do. Frias went 4, and then Rodriguez pitched an inning. Garcia pitches an inning, and now J.P. Howell is asked to get one. He'll be facing the bottom 3 in the Padre lineup. That would be Middlebrooks, Amarista, and Shields, the pitcher. And what a pitcher. Shields has made only 61 pitches in 6 innings. He's made 3 innings of 9 pitches. He's also had 1 inning of 7. Ball 1. Ten runs, 14 hits for San Diego. That's off the glove of Howell, deflected, slowed down. Hendrick makes the play. So we make it 1-4-3, 1 out. And Amarista, the one regular without a hit, but he does have a scoring fly ball. Sacrifice in the 5th inning, picked up the 10th run. Amarista about 5'7", even that's a little debatable whether he is 5'6" or 5'7". In the records, they tell you the shortest player to ever play at Dodger Stadium was Albie Pearson. That's going to be a base hit, so he's joined the club. Albie Pearson back in 1965 was the last time he played here. He was listed 5'5".
James Shields.
And here is James Shields. So that's 10 runs on 15 hits for the Padres. Shields single to right, grounded to third, fly to left. It is one of those things. The Padres don't hit very much, except when James Shields pitches. They've scored 10 runs twice for him this year. They've also scored 8 and 6. That's right. So despite the 14 home runs that he has allowed, 12 with the bases empty, he's cruising. 5 wins, no losses. 0-1. And lifted down the right field line. Ethier hustling over, picks it off in fair ground. Holding at first is Amarista. 2 down in the 7th inning. Yangervis Solarte coming up.
Yangervis Solarte.
Solarte will have to turn around and bat right-handed. He is 1 for 4. He started the carnage in the 1st inning when he doubled into the corner against Frias. And then Carlos walked Venable, walked Kemp, gave up a home run to Upton, a grand slam, and the air came out of the balloon for sure. 1 ball, no strikes. Tomorrow, a 5:10 game. Come spend Memorial Day with us. 1-1. In the Dodger bullpen, a pitcher an inning, so Sergio Santos begins to loosen up. 2 out, Amarista at first. They're not going to bother holding him. They can't believe he tried to steal. 1-2. That's what made that report on that game when the Dodgers scored the 15 runs in the 1st inning against Cincinnati. One of the 3 outs, a Dodger outfielder was out trying to steal third. I mean, how in the world can you be trying to steal third in a 15-run inning? Maybe it was early in the rioting. 1-2 the count to Yangervis Solarte. 2-2. Dodgers in the bottom half of the inning will have Rollins, Kendrick, and then it's the pitcher spot. Remember, Adrian went out in a double switch. Van Slyke is playing first base. 2-2. And that's lifted. Going out is Kendrick. Coming in is Ethier. Ethier the easier play. And that'll do it. No runs, one hit, a man left. We're heading to the bottom of the 7th inning. 10-0 San Diego. Your baseball on Sportsnet LA is brought to you by Nissan. Get to Nissan's ride of your life for exciting performance and surprising offer. Shop at ChooseNissan.com. And by DraftKings. Play daily fantasy baseball for free on DraftKings.com. Use promo code BlueCrew for free entry. Bottom of the 7th inning, it's a runaway game. Padres leading 10-0. Padres have made several defensive changes. If you're keeping score, you can write them in the book. Otherwise, don't have to bounce around. Clint Barnes is now at shortstop, and Alexei Amarista goes from shortstop to center field. Will Venable, who was in center field, goes to right field. And Abraham Almonte is now in left field for Justin Upton. 1 ball, no strikes. And a base hit up the middle. For the Dodgers, they've piled up 2 hits, trailing 10-0. A short pile.
Number 47.
And here's Howie Kendrick hit into a double play, tapped into a force play. 0 for 2. Kendrick 0 for 2, trying to do something. Juan Uribe is out on deck. He would bat for Howell. Ten runs, 15 hits for the Padres. No runs, 2 hits for the Dodgers. That's a strike, 0-1. Kendrick came into the game with huge numbers against Fields, hitting .517 with 15 hits, 4 doubles, 2 home runs. 0-2. If you are keeping score of this thoroughly forgettable game, Barnes, the shortstop, is going to go into Matt Kemp's spot. Almonte will bat 4th in Upton's spot. and all the others just kind of moved around. There's a line drive base hit to left, and the Dodgers now back-to-back singles with nobody out in the 7th inning. So here's Juan Uribe coming up. Long time no see. Juan Uribe. Dodgers, of course, with a plethora of third basemen, with Uribe and Turner and Guerrero and Juan, which is better than a dearth. And a strike. Uribe, as a pinch hitter, very successful, hitting .310, and hits one to the gap. That will be a diving try by Venable. It's off his glove, and the Dodgers have loaded the bases, and that'll be a base hit for Uribe. So a great effort by Will Venable, unable to make the catch. He's had a couple of those efforts in center field. Now he has one in right. Maddeningly close, just off the tip of the glove. No way to control it. So bases loaded. And the batter, Andre Ethier. Ethier has 4 grand slams. The last one he hit in 2012. That was against Seattle. 0-1. In the Dodger bullpen, a pitcher an inning. We don't see Santos. Instead, we see Nicasio. So Rollins, Kendrick, and now the base hit by Uribe. Dodgers trying to make at least a little noise for the benefit of this big crowd. Ground foul, 0-2. And that's going to be a hopper to 1. In time for the double play. All eyes on first base umpire Jeff Kellogg. So Ethier slows it down after 3 consecutive hits. He hits into a double play, and the batter will be Alex Guerrero. 4-6-3. Dodgers. Rollins coming in to score. Kendrick going to third. And it's now 10-1. San Diego. Padres got a right-hander up in the pen, although certainly it's not like Shields has overworked. High fly ball down the right field line, foul back into the crowd. However, it could very well be, as Dale Thayer begins to throw in the bullpen, they would just as soon call it a day for James Shields. He's only made 70 pitches, 72 to be exact. 0-1 to Guerrero. Kendrick down the line. A drive to left, going back for it is Almonte at the wall. It is gone. So Alex Guerrero hits one in the seats. This big crowd finally has something to stand up and cheer about. For Guerrero, his 7th home run, 18 runs batted in. And the batter now is Kike Hernandez. High fly ball to left. Almonte went as far as he could go. And into the seats it went. Nice catch. Ice cream cone. Check swing for a strike. Was that a selfie? Was he actually taking a picture of himself catching that? Look at this. He's going to reach. Look at the other hand. Yeah, the other hand is holding a camera, and he's describing a magnificent play. Is that great? This is a new world. 1 ball, 1 strike. That's the second time that I can remember here watching somebody make that catch, a great catch, and using a selfie to video it. 2-1. So the Dodgers scored 3 here in the 7th. They trail 10-3. Kike Hernandez, 2 ground balls, 0 for 2. Very light breeze blowing from left to right. That just came up. 3-1. A refreshing zephyr for the people in the right field pavilion. Meanwhile, Alex Guerrero feeling a little happier about things after hitting the home run. 3-1. 3-2. On deck, Austin Barnes, 2 out with a full count on Hernandez. Big hack, and he comes up empty. So the Dodgers get themselves 3. We have another moment to look at the home run by Alex Guerrero and the catch and the photograph. Unbelievable. This world is something else, and it's 10-3 San Diego. San Diego had 8 runs in the first 2 innings thanks to a grand slam by Upton, who also doubled in 2 more to give him a half a dozen. Will Middlebrooks added the attack with a home run. Alex Guerrero, a little murmur of protest with his home run, his 7th of the year. And we go to the 8th inning with the Dodgers using Rodriguez, Garcia, Howell, and now Juan Nicasio, picking up the pieces for the starter, Carlos Frias. So Nicasio, 1-1 in his 14th game. Will Venable, who had that diving attempt but couldn't catch the single in right field off the bat of Juan Uribe. Venable will be followed, and we will check. We mentioned Venable is supposed to be followed by Barmes, but it's not Barmes. Almonte is on deck. So we had been told Almonte was hitting an Upton spot. Are you really keeping score of this game? Well, if you are, 0-1 to Venable. Almonte is in Kemp's spot. That's a shot down the left field line, and it's a fair ball. Hernandez on it. On his way for 2 is Venable. So Venable opens up and collects his 3rd hit plus a walk.
Left fielder number 16, Abraham Almonte.
And here now is Abraham Almonte. Paid attendance 50,182. 50,182. Hope you'll be with us tomorrow. 5:10 game. Brett Anderson on the hill for the Dodgers. That's 16 hits for San Diego. Almonte appeared as a pinch hitter last night. Tried to bunt for a base hit, and Justin Turner made a fine play to throw him out. He also appeared as a pinch hitter in the first game and struck out. Oh, 0-1. That's on the corner. No balls and 2 strikes. That's away, 1-2. Ten runs, 16 hits for San Diego. 3 runs, 5 hits for the Dodgers. Just did get a little of that to foul it off. When the Dodgers come up in the bottom of the 8th inning, they're due to have Austin Barnes, the young catcher, making his big league debut. Then Scott Van Slyke and Jock Peterson. 1-2. Just did get a little of that, though Abraham still battling it away. Almonte stands about 5'9", and he's over 200 pounds. 1-2. He'll be 26 in June and originally signed by the Yankees. And a base hit. We've certainly seen enough of those. That is the 17th hit. Here comes the runner to the plate to score, and it's 11-3 on 17 hits.
Shortstop, number 12, Clint Barnes.
Well, the highlight play for the Dodger fans is this gentleman right here. His name is Bobby Crosby. I don't believe he's any relation, but he's the fellow who made that wonderful catch while actually making the selfie. I wonder what his play-by-play was like. Here I am. I just make the greatest play I've ever seen. Popped in the air, foul, out of play. Clint Barnes 0 for 1. Here's that catch. He made it, but notice he's showing the ice cream cone all the way. All right, Bobby Crosby, way to go.
Yes.
0-1. Fly ball to left field, very playable. Hernandez is there.
Number 3, Derek Norris.
Derek Norris coming up. By the way, because this game has been such a one-sided game, we've talked a couple of times about that Dodger game where they scored 15 runs in the first inning and won the game 19-1. And our pal Brian Hagan, I had posed the question, why in the world, in a runaway game like that, would Andy Pafko be out trying to steal third? Well, at the time when Andy Pafko tried to steal, it was only 3-0. And he was thrown out trying to steal third. Andy Pafko was the left fielder on that fateful day when Bobby Thompson hit the home run in the Polo Grounds. A home run heard round the world. That's right, 0-1. No balls and 1 strike. Derek Norris flied to right, single to center, grounded to short, singled on a play at first base. Runner going as the pitch gets away. So we'll check the scoring. Wild pitch or pass ball. And it will be a pass ball charged to Austin Barnes. One ball and 1 strike. 1-2. Well, one thing for young Austin, getting him out of the way in his debut. He struck out, so we don't have to worry about striking out again and what it's like. Now a pass ball, okay, now you go about your business. Meanwhile, Mom understands, so does Dad. Fastball fouled away. Another tough thing, though, let's face it, for Austin Barnes. I mean, you're a young catcher. You just brought up from Oklahoma City, and you're catching 5 different pitchers, all with different deliveries, all with different stuff. Not easy at all. One and 2 to Derek Norris. Nicasio has now made 16 pitches. That 7th inning when the Dodgers picked up 3 runs, that was the hardest inning of the day for James Shields. He actually had to make 18 pitches. He had 4 innings today where he made 9 pitches or less. 1 and 2. And another foul ball. Derek with Spangenberg on deck. One and 2. Fastball just missed. Juan Nicasio out of San Francisco de Macorís in the Dominican. 6'3", 210. He'll be 29 the end of August. Nicasio was originally signed by the Rockies almost 10 years ago. His father farmed coffee and rice, tended to cows, and Juan was out there in the fields helping him as a young man. And he finally gets rid of the troublesome Norris on a foul tip. Nice play by Austin Barnes. So that will bring up Corey Spangenberg. Spangenberg doubled in the riotous first inning, hit into a double play in the second inning, single to right, scored a run in the 5th, and struck out. Padres have to be very high on this young man, first round pick. Oh and 1. Spangenberg from Fort Peace, Florida. First round pick in 2011. Well, for the Giants, they have a stay in Colorado, and it's about as bad as they worried about with all the weather. They had that day game and then the night game, and they had an hour and 44-minute delay in the first game with 2 out in the bottom of the ninth, which is maddening. And now they come back today to start the single game, and they are underway after a 2-hour and 10-minute delay in Denver. The only good thing for the Giants, after today's game, they go indoors. They'll go to Milwaukee. Dodgers lead them by 2. However, that 2 is very shaky. If the Giants win today, it's back to 1. 2-2 to Corey Spangenberg. Spangenberg, 24 years old, making rapid progress. When you're a first-round pick, that means always over $1 million. For his bonus, I think it's a little under $2 million. So they have to like him a lot. And sure enough, bangs one to left field. Here comes Almonte. Strong throw. He is out at the plate. I tell you one thing about Almonte, he might be annoyed at Middlebrooks. I don't know. I mean, Corey Middlebrooks was the on-deck hitter, and you would expect Middlebrooks to be there telling him to slide. But Middlebrooks wasn't anywhere near home, and Almonte is coming in standing up, and he is tagged. Where is Middlebrooks? Where are you? Well, he wasn't there, but that's why it's 11-3. Ho-hum for the Padres. Coming up, the Atlanta Braves. Williams Perez will be on the hill. A pretty high ERA, over 6. Brett Anderson will be on the hill for the Dodgers, trying to get above the 500 mark. Anderson pitched so well his last time out. And then he'll be followed by Tuesday with Kershaw and Wednesday by Greinke. Meanwhile, Dale Thayer comes in to pick up for James Shields, who made only 79 pitches. He really had a walk in the park. Thayer, born in Fountain Valley, lives in Huntington Beach and went to Cal State Chico. Little slider for a strike, 0-1. Austin Barnes, major league debut, struck out, fly to right. And in a hole now, 0-2. Bottom of the 8th, so I think it's reasonable to assume this will be his last at bat. I think. Boy, you know, that's a tough pitch for the umpire. I think the catcher was crossed up. I mean, you can get an umpire killed on that pitch. Wow. Watch how vulnerable he is. And luckily, it went right by his right arm. I think Alan Porter is talking a little bit to Derek Norris. As if say, what are you guys doing? Trying to get me killed here? Bottom of the 8th inning of a runaway game. 1-2 the count. And fouled away. Alan Porter, the plate umpire who almost got nailed. He's been an umpire in the big leagues for about 4 years. Spent 11 years in the minors before getting promoted. 11 years. That'll be a tough thing. 11 years in the minors, you come to the big leagues, and you get nailed when the pitcher and the catcher are not on the same page. 2-2. And there it is. Hey, Mom and Dad. Austin Barnes got a major league hit. There's Mom. There's Dad. Oh, that's a great moment. Yes, high fives in the family. Yes, get that ball for sure. So a thoroughly forgettable for a lot of people, but not for the Barnes family, as Austin singled, clean as a whistle. Take another look, fastball, and he was right on it. And you see the reaction of the family. Mom Stephanie, Dad Dennis, brothers Dylan and Griffin, sister Sahara. We got them all here. Barnes' girlfriend Nikki, and about 50 relatives and friends from Corona. 0-1 to count to Van Slyke. High fly ball to right, angling over his Venable. 1 out. And the batter will be Jock Peterson.
Number 31.
You know, getting back to that pitch where Norris was not expecting what he got, and the pitch almost nailed the plate umpire. And I'm sure it had nothing to do with it this time, but there were times in the old days, not only were they knocking hitters down, there'd be the occasional time where a team would be so angry at a plate umpire, they would let that happen. Throw a fastball, the catcher would act like he was looking curved, and there's the umpire naked unto the world. Ball 1 to Jock Peterson. Peterson homered last night, first time up. Then he struck out 3 in a row. Well, today he has struck out twice and walked. So he hasn't hit the ball since the first inning last night. 1-1. So Dale Thayer, 34 years old. He'd be 35 a week before Christmas. Drafted by the Padres in 2002. Ball 2. Year in and year out, it seemed like the Padre bullpen was always a strong point, going back to people like Trevor Hoffman and bringing right up. This year, it's struggling. Padre bullpen is a little more than 4.5 ERA. The Dodger pen is 2.5. And the Padres pen has given up 21 home runs. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Jock Peterson. Bud Black trying to leave here with a win, trying to snap a 4-game losing streak, and trying to forget the fact they had lost 7 out of 8. 2-2. Took a little off that, so Peterson hits a home run, for the moment is a hero, and then proceeds to strike out 6 consecutive times. It is not that easy no matter how much ability you have. And here is Jimmy Rollins. By the way, 8 Dodgers have struck out today. Rollins single to center, lined out to second, single to center again. 2 for 3. Ball one. Austin Barnes at first. 3 men on the right side of the infield. Middlebrooks all alone on the left. Barmes is on the second base side of the bag. 2-0. Dale Thayer, the pitcher, was not drafted. He was signed by the Padres out of a tryout camp. That's right. He was drafted by the Cubs but opted to go to school at Cal State Chico. Then went to the tryout camp and they signed him. That's a strike. 2-2. So Jimmy Rollins goes down on a 92-mile-an-hour fastball. Thayer picks up his second strikeout. 9 Dodgers have bitten the dust, but there was no dust. Not for Austin Barnes. He got his first major league hit. And we're heading to the 9th, 11-3. MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, celebrating 13 years. You can watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in true HD on over 400 mobile and connected devices. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking widget, and more. Every night on every device. Blackout, of course, and other restrictions apply. So visit MLB.TV for details. Well, the Dodgers trying to make the most of a bad day. So once Carlos Frias pitched 4, it's now been a pitcher an inning. We've had Paco Rodriguez, we've had Yimi Garcia, then J.P. Howell, then Juan Nicasio, and now Sergio Santos. And in the 9th inning, he'll start off against Will Middlebrooks, who has 2 hits, home run, and a single. 0-1. No balls, 1 strike. 1-1. Santos, kind of a local boy, born in Bellflower, went to Mater Dei High School. He was a #1 pick by the Arizona Diamondbacks. He now lives in Scottsdale. Big fella, 6'3" and about 230. Check swing for a strike. 1-2. Santos on the USA Junior National Team in 2001. That team went to Cuba and won the silver medal. Committed to SC in his senior year at Mater Dei. Fouled away. One ball and two strikes to Will Middlebrooks. One and two. Check swing, down he goes. The Middlebrooks strikes out. One out, top of the ninth. And the batter now will be Alexi Amarista. Amarista 1 for 3 with a scoring fly ball. Jed Jerko, the second baseman, will come up and bat. Jerko hitting for Dale Thayer. And a strike. One out in the ninth, 11-3 San Diego. Ground ball. Van Slyke, he'll do it himself. So two out, top of the ninth inning, and Jed Jerko getting a chance to swing the bat. Jerko, the highly regarded second baseman, but we haven't seen much of him. It's been Spangenberg playing second base. So two out. Jerko, with the bases empty, gets an at-bat against Santos. 0-1. Santos, as we mentioned, was perhaps going to go to college. In his senior year, he committed to SC, but he became a pro. He has an older brother who graduated from Georgetown University Law School. And he has another brother who's a graduate of UCLA. So they worked so hard to get where they are, and they've inspired Sergio. One ball, one strike. Fastball, check swing. That was 93. When the Dodgers come up in the bottom of the ninth inning, it'll be Kendrick, then a hitter for Santos, and Ethier. 2-1. Ball three. Down in the bullpen, Sean Kelly, a right-hander. I can remember the name Sean Kelly for one thing. Jimmy Rollins home run opening day. Dodgers won that game 6-3. Three and two. Two out in the ninth. 11 runs, 18 hits for San Diego. James Shields, riding the crest, did not give up anything until the seventh inning. So ball four to Jerko, and that will bring up Jan Hervis Solarte. Switch hitter will bat left-handed.
Number 26, Jan Hervis Solarte.
With all the base hits and everything else, Dodger pitching has only allowed two other walks, and that was way back in the first inning when Solarte doubled and Venable and Kemp each walked. And then Justin Upton came up and hit the grand slam. A flare to left field, that's going to drop for a base hit. So Solarte makes it 19 hits for San Diego.
Number 25, Will Venable.
Will Venable having a good day. He has a walk, a double, and two singles. Venable had 2 hits in the first game. He was caught last night. 2 on, 2 out, 9th inning, 11-3 Padres. Don't forget, 5-10 tomorrow. The Dodgers and the Atlanta Braves. Last year, Dodgers won 6 of 7. All 3 played here. Brett Anderson on the hill. Then Kershaw Tuesday night. Greinke Wednesday night. In the dirt. And we mentioned at the very start of the game, the Dodgers have the best home record of any division leading team in the major leagues. But they also have the worst road record of any division leading team in the major leagues. In fact, all of the other division leaders are above 500 on the road. The Dodgers are not. They're 4 under. And wouldn't you know, if the Dodgers are going to struggle on the road, well, when they leave Atlanta, the first stop, St. Louis. They are starting to play in Denver, and Colorado's leading 1-0. We get a note out of Denver. It's really hard to take here in Los Angeles. Coors Field in Denver. They have gotten 10 inches of rain just this month of May. 10 inches at Coors Field. And we've got zip, nada. Oklahoma City, 15 inches in the month of May. Us, clouds. 2-2. Chopper to third, backing up for the hop, and nicely done is Guerrero, but it took too long, and the throw to first too late. That's for Venable, a second time he's been able to take advantage of an infielder. Guerrero backing up to get the hop. Well, you can't do that with Venable. And remember, Rollins, playing in one position, had to go back to get the other, and he beat that throw. So Venable still runs very, very well. And that gives him a 4-hit game. The old story, speed never has a slump. Tim Wallach on the phone, as if they wanted to, are they going to review it? That's what they're going to do. Yep. So they review the bang bang play at first. If it goes the Padre way, the bases are loaded. If it goes the Dodger way, the inning would be over. With 2 out, you had the walk to Jerko, the single to Solarte, and now this bang bang play at first. As usual, very tough. The crowd enjoying watching the big screen back of left field and right. And he is ruled safe. So the bases are loaded. That also means the 20th hit for San Diego. 11 runs and 20 hits. And the batter with the bases loaded, Almonte. Abraham checking in. Almonte singled in the 8th inning, and remember was out, tagged out at the plate, coming in standing up. 0-1 the count. Clint Barmas is on deck. No balls, 1 strike. 1-1. Almonte batting in Matt Kemp's spot. Matt had 2 hits and a walk today. Everybody in the lineup has had at least 1 hit. 1-2 the count. To repeat, the Dodgers will have Kendrick, then Santos, Spot, and Ethier. And if you look at the Dodger bench, there's 2 men left, Justin Turner and A.J. Ellis. He always holds the backup catcher, so you figure we'll see Justin Turner. Second inning, Rockies lead the Giants 1-0. They're really just starting after all the rain. 2-2. It's really frustrating. You watch the Weather Channel, and they're going to talk the entire hour about Texas, Oklahoma, all the rain coming up, all the problems in the middle, all the problems in the east. There's nothing to say about Southern California. Except that's the end of the top of the 9th inning. And we're heading for the bottom of the 9th. 11-3, San Diego. Venable and Kemp walk. Justin Upton came up and hit a grand slam home run against Carlos Frias. He knew it. Peterson tried to snare it, couldn't do it. Then later on, Upton doubled down the left field line to drive in 2 more. So Justin winds up with 6 RBIs. Obviously, the player of the game, the leader of the runaway attack. The Padres 11 runs, 20 hits, and remember they also left 10 men. So here's Sean Kelly. Kendrick fouls it off. Kelly tuning up, now being brought in. Shields, Thayer, and Kelly. 1 ball and 1 strike. And a strike, 1-2. Howie Kendrick today hit into a double play, hit into a force play, singled, scored a run. And a chopper to short. Clint Barmas makes the play, and we have 1 out in the 9th inning. A.J. Ellis will come up and hit ahead of Justin Turner. Ellis will bat for Santos.
Pitching for the Dodgers, number 17, A.J. Ellis.
Andre Ethier on deck. Facing Sean Kelly out of Louisville, Kentucky. A.J. played last night. Austin Barnes played today. Remember, Yasmani Grandal out for 7 games under the concussion rule. 0-1. Dodger dugout. There's Grandal talking to Santos. Boy, he took a nasty crack on the side of the jaw, the backswing of Yangervis Solarte. And then later on in the game, Matt Kemp fouled one right back into the mask, and Grandal was done. Under the rules, he must stay out 7 days, which is a great idea. High fly ball. Amarista is there. So the Dodgers are down to their last out, and the batter is Andre Ethier. The total's 11 runs, 20 hits, 10 men left on for San Diego. The Dodgers a murmur of protest and nothing else. 3 runs, they all came in the 7th inning. 6 hits, no errors. So it's on to tomorrow. Not sure what the Dodger lead over the Giants will be. It's 2 for the moment. The Giants trailing 1-0, but very early in that game in Colorado. Should the Giants win, the Dodger lead tomorrow night would be 1 game. Giants lose, it'd be back to the 2. 2-0. They're in the 3rd inning in Denver. Rockies lead 1-0. Dodgers, however, win another series. Remember, they had won 10 and split 1. And now they've won this one no matter what. Little pop fly. Barnes can't make the catch. Ethier will say thank you and go 1 for 4. Been a tough day for Andre. He had struck out twice and hit into a double play. So he will certainly take a flare single.
Number 7, Alex Guerrero.
So Alex Guerrero coming up. Guerrero flied to right, struck out, and hit a home run in the 7th inning with a man aboard. So 7 home runs, 18 RBIs. Fastball. Kelly hits 93 on the gun. Sean Kelly is from Louisville, Kentucky. No balls, 1 strike. Now 0-2. Sean Kelly, like so many young pitchers, underwent Tommy John surgery, and he comes back and he still throws in the 90s. Two and two. Sean, as big as the big leaguers like them for pitching, 6'2", about 220. Just turned 31. In the dirt. Where'd he go? Norris finds it after a quick look. So 3-2 the count to Guerrero. Kike Hernandez 0 for 3 on deck. Kelly went to Austin Peay State University. That's in Tennessee. Runner goes. Strike 3 swinging. And that will do it. For the Padres, a big day. 11 runs, 20 hits. For the Dodgers, a slice of humble pie. 3 runs and 7 hits. The winning pitcher, James Shields, he's a perfect 6-0. The loser, Carlos Frias, is 3-2. And tomorrow at 5:10, it'll be Brett Anderson on the hill against the Atlanta Braves. We'll talk to you then. Till then, we wish you all a very pleasant good afternoon, everybody.